Teacher Marcia, you saved my life. Marcia stopped packing materials into the cardboard box and looked at the 28-year-old man standing in the doorway of the room that, in 2 hours, would no longer be hers. It took her a few seconds to recognize him. Haircut, well-pressed suit, confident posture. Nothing like the 8-year-old boy who had arrived in her class with signs of abuse and wouldn't talk to anyone. Raphael, she whispered, feeling her eyes well up. Yes, it's me. Dr. Raphael now, he said, smiling and showing the diploma he carried in his hand. Medicine. I graduated last week and came to tell you before it was too late. Marcia sat heavily in her chair. At 58 years old, after 35 years as a public school teacher, this was officially her last week. Compulsory retirement. Her colleagues had thrown a little party yesterday, wished her a well-deserved retirement, but no one asked how she felt. The truth? She felt useless, obsolete, as if 35 years of dedication had been erased by new methods, technologies she didn't master, and the growing feeling that nothing she had done really mattered. Teacher, do you remember when you found me crying in the bathroom because the other boys laughed at my torn clothes? You gave me that extra shirt you kept in the drawer, said it was for emergencies. I knew that day that someone cared about me. Tears began to flow. Marcia vaguely remembered. How many extra shirts had she kept over the years? And when you stayed after hours teaching me to read? And when you discovered I was sleeping on the street and took me to child services? And when, Raphael, I just did what any teacher would do. Marcia interrupted. No, teacher, you did what no adult had done for me until then. Believed I could be more than my circumstances. Today I save lives because you saved mine first. At that moment, the words she had read that morning, trying to find comfort for the end of her career, echoed with completely new meaning. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58. 35 years, hundreds of students, thousands of small gestures, and she was discovering that none had been in vain. Teacher, how many Raphaels do you have scattered around and don't even know? The question hung in the air of the empty room. Marcia looked at the cardboard boxes, at the blackboard she had cleaned for the last time that morning, at the empty desks that would soon be occupied by other students of a younger teacher. Raphael, I don't know. I never thought about it. You should think about it. Because I spent the last 10 years looking for you to say thank you, and I discovered I'm not the only one. Raphael pulled his phone from his pocket. May I? Without waiting for an answer, he typed quickly and put the device on speakerphone. In seconds, a female voice answered. Hi, Rafa. Amanda, are you driving? I'm stopped at the traffic light. What? Remember how you always talk about the teacher who changed your life? She's here with me. Silence on the other end of the line. Then, a choked voice. Professor Marcia? Is it really you? Marcia held the phone with trembling hands. Amanda Silva? Yes. The fat girl nobody wanted on the PE team. Do you remember? How could she forget? Amanda was ridiculed by classmates, always the last to be chosen for any activity. Marcia remembered finding her crying during recess countless times. Amanda, of course I remember. How are you? Teacher, I'm a child psychologist. I work with children who suffer bullying at school. It all started because you taught me I had value, even when I couldn't see it. Do you remember what you told me that day I wanted to quit studying? Marcia closed her eyes, trying to remember. You said, Amanda, God doesn't make trash. You have a unique purpose in this world. Teacher, I repeat that phrase to every child I treat. How many lives have you saved through me? Before Marcia could fully process, Raphael made another call. Professor Joao, it's Raphael, your former student. Remember how you always talk about Professor Marcia? She's here. A male voice, mature. Professor Marcia? Wow, what joy! I'm Joao Pedro, from the class of 2006. Do you remember the boy who was always getting into fights? Marcia smiled through her tears. Joao Pedro, the school's problem. Suspended more times than she could count. Joao Pedro, how could I forget? You gave me more trouble than the rest of the class combined. Teacher, today I'm a principal of a school in an underserved community. Do you know why I chose education? Because of you. When everyone had given up on me, you called me and said, Joao, your energy can destroy or build. You choose. Teacher, today I have 300 students who are getting the chance you gave me. The phone rang. Raphael answered smiling. Hello? Raphael, did you manage to find her? I did, Carla. Want to talk? Marcia heard a voice she didn't immediately recognize. Professor Marcia. I'm Carla. Carla Santos, the girl you caught stealing lunch. Marcia's heart stopped. Carla, the skinny girl who came to school hungry, whom she had caught taking bread secretly. Instead of punishing her, Marcia started bringing extra sandwiches by chance. Carla, my child. Teacher, I'm a nutritionist and coordinate the school feeding program for 5 public schools. Every day, I think of you when I see a hungry child. You taught me that dignity is built with love, not humiliation. How many children today eat well because you taught me the importance of that? Marcia was sitting on the floor of the empty room, surrounded by boxes and memories coming to life. Each name, each face, each story she thought forgotten came back with full force. I didn't know, she whispered. I really didn't know. Raphael knelt beside her. Teacher, do you remember planting a little seed in each of our hearts? But seeds take time to become trees, and trees generate other seeds. You planted a forest and don't even know it, but I feel so old, useless, like everything I know doesn't matter anymore. Teacher, anyone can learn technology, but loving difficult students, seeing potential where others see problems, that can't be taught in courses. That's a gift, and you've had that gift for 35 years. At that moment, the classroom door opened. It was the principal, Lucia, with a strange expression on her face. Marcia, you need to see this. She showed her phone. It was a WhatsApp group. Professor Marcia students, classes 1989 to 2024. 327 members. Marcia, they organized themselves. Doctors, engineers, teachers, police officers, housewives, merchants. There are people from all over Brazil in this group, all looking for you to say thank you. Marcia held the phone and read some messages. Looking for Professor Marcia, who taught me that being different is being special. Does anyone have Professor Marcia's contact who taught me to read when I was already 10 and everyone said it was impossible? Professor Marcia, who saved my life when my parents divorced and I didn't want to live anymore. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58. Marcia looked at Raphael, at the cardboard boxes, at the WhatsApp group, and finally understood she wasn't being discarded. She was being promoted. Raphael, can I ask you something? Of course, teacher. Do you think God still has plans for me? Even retired? Raphael smiled. Teacher, you have 327 reasons on the principal's phone to believe so. And I bet there are many more than that. That afternoon, instead of packing the last things and going home feeling useless, Marcia stayed until 6 p.m. responding to messages from former students. Retirement wasn't an end. It was a new beginning to discover how many miracles God had performed through her hands in the last 35 years. 3 months later, Marcia inaugurated the Life Masters Project, a program where retired teachers mentor children at social risk. Her first volunteer was a newly graduated doctor named Raphael. Because when God uses a life, the fruits multiply for generations. Our work for God is never in vain, even when we don't see the results. Sometimes we need divine perspective to see the eternal value of what we did out of love.